I want to talk a little bit about gender because you mentioned, you know, in the context of the white supremacists, extremists, sort of cleaning up and becoming, trying to integrate into society, repackaging themselves as alt right. Um, and talk about going into the gaming community, and then you start getting into sort of like these I don't know, overlays of of men's rights activists, and there seems to be a lot of
Hmm.
overlay, and there's a lot of like gender politics. I'm curious as to what your perspective is on that, and like where people are situated, right? Because there's guys out there who it seems to me who are like supposedly who are sending, I mean, frankly, I'm not claiming that Jordan Peterson is a white supremacist, but I just saw I was just watching a little bit of YouTube where he was talking about like, men out there or young men out there are feeling disaffected and need to feel good about themselves and whatnot. And it seems like the same crew of people who are being
Hmm.
who are open to these messages that are going to give them a self-esteem, and one comes in the form of white supremacy, and another comes in the form of like gender rehabilitation, or not. I don't think they would say supremacy, but they would say reinvigorated or some. Like there's some quality to all of this.
Sure.
And where are those fault lines? Where who feeds into what here, and where is gender in this?
Well, these types of groups are always very good at keying in on what's happening in society to that they can spin to use as fear rhetoric. So when gay marriage was first coming on as a national topic, they used that to instill fear in faith communities that were already homophobic, saying that it would destroy the ability to for Christians to thrive and have children. Now they're keying in on the fact that white men are being called out for horrible acts, and they're using it as the victim narrative. So they are now appealing to potentially decent white men and through the fear rhetoric that their identity is being taken away by feminists, by leftists, by transgender and LGBTQ communities. These movements are always very misogynistic. It is about white male dominance, and it's been like that throughout history, really. Where anybody who's not a white male, is seen as a lesser person. And now, because of all the news that's coming out through Me Too and women's rights movements, they're using that irrational fear that white men are in danger of losing their identity or losing their power. And, sometimes people get attached to this propaganda and hear it in a way that relates to them somehow, but they don't realize that this is all through fear rhetoric and conspiracy theory. Nobody's trying to take away whiteness from anybody or the fact that you're a male. We're just talking about issues that are unjust and bringing them to the fore. Thankfully, sometimes for the first time, and we're having these discussions, and they're using it to just ramp up the fear. Anytime there's a seed of fear, they are throwing fertilizer on it. So you'll see them shift into different topics all the time, whether it's anti-Muslim when an attack happens, or pro-white male when we see women finally getting equal rights, or at least a platform to talk about the idea of equal rights for women.